Welcome, students of comic lore, to a very educational episode of Kapow. We intend to school you on all things Arkham Asylum. I'm Professor Sonya.
And I'm Associate Professor Al. I still don't know why I didn't get to be a full professor.
Look, we've discussed this. We voted on who would get tenure, and you missed out this time, alright? Maybe next year.
That always means no. In any case, today we have transformed King's Comics into the Kapow University for Higher Comic Learning. And yes, today's topics have been inspired by the new Arkham Origins game.
We will be providing a grounding in the subject of Black Mask, and of course in the theory of Arkham Asylum.
We'll also be playing host to visiting lecturer Rae Johnston, who will discuss the finer points of Arkham Origins with us.
And of course, Professor Rae will be holding a bridging class in Arkham Origins collectibles.
Seriously? Rae got tenure?
Yeah, I think he bribed the director.
Unbelievable. Ben? No, we will talk about this right now. Where are you going?
Students, take your seats.
The name Arkham Asylum is almost synonymous with Gotham City, and it's a name that resonates with menace, evil, and insanity. Little wonder then that it is inspired by the work of H.P. Lovecraft and by his fictional town of Arkham, Massachusetts.
What follows is an introduction course into this dark institution and its tortured inmates. Welcome to Kapow University's intermediate course in Arkham Asylum.
Now, there is some argument as to Arkham's first appearance, since in 1974 it was referred to as Arkham Hospital and was set in New England. Then it was referred to as Arkham Asylum, and finally it was relocated to the suburbs of Gotham.
And it has featured in a massive amount of Batman comics, generally due to inmates being delivered there, or indeed breaking out. In a couple of cases, such as the Nightfall arc or the No Man's Land arc, a massive number of high-security inmates have escaped, leaving the asylum all but destroyed in their wake. But it has always been rebuilt.
Well, of course, because what is Gotham without Arkham? I mean, a regular prison could never hold the variety of psychotics, sociopaths, and out-and-out loonies that make up Batman's rogues gallery. Now, obviously, it's popped up as a set piece in a wide variety of Bat stories, but there are a few tales that have been set entirely there, and those are the ones that we're focusing on today.
That's right. Now, the first item of recommended reading is arguably the best. Arkham Asylum, a serious house on serious earth. Written by Grant Morrison with art by the incomparable Dave McKean, Serious House introduces us to an Arkham that has been taken over by its most insidious resident, the Joker.
Summoned to the asylum by Commissioner Gordon, Batman enters the building feeling true fear. Not fear of danger, not fear of the Joker, or even the other lunatics that he's imprisoned there, but a fear that stepping through that door will be just like coming home.
And it's that examination of each character's frailties that makes this such an amazing book. Stepping into Arkham Asylum is a terrifying journey into your own mind. Each inhabitant peels back their psyche for all to see as Batman travels further and further into its depths.
Yeah, and as an examination of the depraved history of Arkham Asylum, this book is unparalleled. If you haven't read it, then you owe it to yourself to buy a copy as soon as possible. Now, the next book on the syllabus turns its eye towards Arkham's lesser-known inmates. Arkham Asylum: Living Hell.
During a fraud trial, Warren White, known as the Great White Shark due to his unscrupulous business practices, makes the rather huge mistake of pleading insanity and is sentenced to a period of observation at Arkham Asylum.
And as he very soon realises, a period at Blackgate Prison would have been vastly preferable.
Oh yes.
After meeting a few of the more notable residents like Joker, Riddler and Two-Face, the picture becomes much clearer. But it's Gotham's bit players that make this book memorable. The closer look at inmates like Jane Doe or Doodlebug, and especially Humpty Dumpty, are pretty captivating.
Of course, the book does take a turn towards the supernatural near the end, which isn't my favourite thing in a Batman book, but it maintains that creepy feeling that is a must for any Arkham story. The final entry on our list of everything you ever wanted to know about Arkham but were too sane to ask is a bit of an odd one.
Yes, it is. Now, obviously, we're a comic show and not a show about games, but it's hard to go past the first Arkham Asylum game when you consider what it lets you do. Explore Arkham Asylum for yourself.
And when you're running through its twisted hallways, stopping to investigate the personalised cells of Mr. Freeze, or the Calendar Man, or the Riddler, even finding the room where the asylum's founder Amadeus Arkham spent his last insanity-racked hours, you get an understanding of it like no other.
And with that, we bid a rather shaken farewell to that most mad of madhouses, Arkham Asylum.
Remember, your final papers are due on Monday. 300 words and double-spaced. And don't forget to include your bibliography. There are a lot of great references out there. Hey Ray.
Hi Sonya. Hi guys.
So, did you pick up any of the collector's editions of Arkham Origins?
No, I didn't. Actually, I wasn't too sure which one to choose, to be honest, so I thought that we'd bring them both in, have a closer look at them, and perhaps help those out there who are sitting on the fence decide which one they would choose if they have the option.
That's a great idea, Ray.
Yeah, alright, so option 1, the exclusive edition, which is around $120, depicts Batman holding Joker over some sort of ledge. I like the action depicted here. I was initially concerned as to whether I'd believe the physics captured in that moment, but it actually serves well as believable action. It's not unbalanced. If I was going to be picky, which, well, we have to be, I would say the Joker in this moment would probably slip or fall a little more into his coat in this action, and Batman would have to have hold of a lot more clothing than just the jacket to hold him up there.
True, but the action is clear and it's quite an interesting pose.
Oh yeah.
The Joker's devilish grin belies the situation he's in, which is always fun to see.
Yeah, I know, right? I think his expression is good too, and as a nice case of finer paintwork around the face, Batman has turned out very well too.
The paintwork overall is good and the colours look really rich.
Yeah, and I like the long flowing cape too as it drapes over the landscape. The Joker's coat has a similar fluidity to it. What do you make of the base, Sonya?
Well, at first I thought it was some kind of sewer system.
Yeah, me too.
But with this corner here, it made me think it was some kind of industrial rooftop.
Yeah, it's not very clear, is it? Look, this is a great statue, don't get me wrong. Certainly for those who are big fans of the game and the comics as well. But if I saw this statue sitting on a shelf in a store, I wouldn't give it a buy. I'm going borrow on this one.
Yeah, look, I tend to agree with you. For me, this isn't an iconic moment between Batman and Joker, and I feel like it's a little closed off. Like, I would have preferred it if his cape was kind of flicking out a bit, or the Joker indeed was going, stepping off the ledge and Batman was grabbing him, just to open up that sculpt a little bit more. So I'm going to give it a borrow as well.
Okay, alright, let's look at option 2, the definitive edition, which is priced around the $150 price point. Depicts Joker at his desk, leering at you and surrounded by TVs. It's a slightly larger piece and a little more open than the other in that you don't have to twist and turn the figure to see the expressions. There's plenty of detail in the various items, the suitcases, money, contracts, gun, and even beheaded Ted in the corner add various layers to the image. The main feature of this piece are the TVs behind Joker. You can turn them on to reveal the various villains wishing to kill Batman in the game. And that's an excellent concept, don't you agree?
Yeah, I really do. Unfortunately, some of the villains aren't as visible as I would have liked.
No.
But having the lit TVs behind the Joker adds another dimension to the piece.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah. And even the haphazard placement of the TVs is a nice design element as well. Look, the next part we're going to talk about may contain a spoiler, so for those of you who are yet to play the game, or yet to finish the game, then you might want to put some earmuffs on now, or just grab a cat and put it over your head. And, not the cat, I didn't say that.
Don't do that.
Just something else, because there's the claws and the screaming, and then the feline facelift.
Back.
Are we good?
Yeah.
We're good. This edition also comes with a switch-out head for the Joker, which reveals just how his character is tied to the game.
Luckily, it comes in this little packet that tells you not to open it until you finish the game.
Luckily so.
Yes.
Right, now this piece I'm a fan of conceptually, but the piece as a whole is a little lightweight. In fact, if you get closer to a lot of these smaller details, they're a bit on the cheap side.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of this statue. I wouldn't be buying it. I'm not going to borrow it. It's a berry from me.
Oh, that's harsh. Look, I mean, it is a more interesting offer than a lot of the museum statues that you can get, which it gives it another dimension.
Yep.
But I'm not completely sold on this either. I love the details, I love the background, but it's the Joker himself that kind of is not quite right. The Joker to me is big and he's bold and he's esoteric, and this is a little too normal, honestly. So I'm not going to be as harsh as you are. I'm going to give it a borrow.
All right, fair enough.
So does this mean you're only going to get the game, or?
No, I'm not getting the game.
You-
No, I'm working on a mod whereby you can enter GTA Online as Batman and take care of all the criminals.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty cool.
So where are you up to on this?
Well, I've got the idea that you can enter GTA Online as Batman and eliminate all the criminals.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
Some people call me an ideas man. Not everyone.
No.
Not everyone.
With Black Mask appearing as the major antagonist in Arkham Origins, some of you may want to know a little bit more about him.
And of course you may regret that decision once we're done, because he's a very nasty piece of work. However, for better or worse, here is Kapow University's foundation course in basic Black Mask.
Born the son of wealthy Gotham socialites, Roman Sionis grew up with a fixation on masks. His parents insisting that a false face be shown in public to mask their loathing of Gotham's high society members.
That's right, but he wouldn't don his own, less metaphorical mask until he had murdered his parents in a fire, taken over their company, Janus Cosmetics, run it into the ground through a series of terrible business decisions, and then gone stark raving mad.
Well, you have to be a little crazy to carve yourself a mask from your own father's coffin, don't you?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. Oddly enough, turning his hand to crime revealed Roman's true talent, and he rose through the ranks to become one of Gotham's most feared underworld characters.
That's right, and since his appearance in 1985, Black Mask has time and again shown himself to be a vicious, sadistic madman, of the kind that Gotham fosters so well. But we've selected 3 major storylines as required reading to illustrate his particular brand of evil.
Firstly, we go to one of my personal favourites with Ed Brubaker's run on Catwoman. After Selina Kyle returns to Gotham's East End as its protector, she breaks up a ring of corrupt cops, intercepts a massive drug deal, and puts the funds towards building a community centre, which is quite lovely.
Slightly less lovely is the reaction of Black Mask when he finds out that Catwoman has stolen a small fortune in diamonds from him. He kidnaps Selina's sister Maggie and her husband Simon before torturing them horribly, leaving Simon dead and Maggie catatonic.
What follows is a brutal confrontation between Catwoman and Black Mask that sheds light on the darkness in both of them. And it is far from the last time these two characters will collide.
Absolutely. Now, next up, we take a look at the War Games arc, which ran over a number of Gotham titles. Having been fired by Batman from her role as Robin, Stephanie Brown returns to her old alter ego, Spoiler, and in a misguided attempt to prove herself to Batman, she launches one of his contingency plans to combat gang violence.
People should leave Batman plans to Batman, because they never get them right. In this case, the plan involves pitting Gotham's gangs against one another to bring them all together under one leader. Batman's secret identity matches Malone.
Yeah, and of course the plan goes wrong because Stephanie doesn't know that Matches is actually Batman. To cut a long event short, Black Mask, using his twin talents for disguise and torture, turns the situation to his advantage, seizing power for himself and leaving a massive number of dead people behind him.
And the last item on the syllabus is multiple choice, thanks to one of the best DC animated features currently out there. Under the Hood, written by Judd Winnick, was adapted into Under the Red Hood, directed by Brandon Vietti. They diverge slightly in story, but both give a brilliant interpretation of Black Mask.
Riding high as the biggest name in organised crime, Black Mask is suddenly assailed by attacks from a new player going by the moniker of Red Hood, a name that has been used a few times before, most notably by the Joker.
Red Hood proves more than a match for Black Mask, tearing apart his criminal interests while dropping hints as to his true identity to Batman. We won't say much more on this for fear of spoilers because it is one of the great twists of the DC universe.
Yeah, so there you have it, Black Mask 101. I hope you've been taking notes because all of this material will feature on your final exam.
Class dismissed. Alright, as we are talking about Arkham Origins, it seems only fair that we should have a chat about the game. So we've brought in resident gamer Rae Johnston, who also happens to be a bit of a Gothamite, so thanks for joining us again on Kapow.
Thanks for having me.
So, okay, first and most importantly, putting on your comic hat
Yes.
rather than the gamer hat. does the story stand up? I think that's the most important thing we've got to look at.
Well, the story that we're seeing here is you've got Black Mask, who's after Batman. He's put a $50 million bounty on his head. So if you ever wanted to be introduced to any particular Batman villain, you're probably going to run into one of them in this game.
Yep. Yeah.
They all come out of the woodwork. And it also gives opportunity to a few of the rogues on the side to hatch their evil schemes while everybody else is distracted. As an overall story, it's really satisfying and really enjoyable.
Yep.
But I think people may find the individual interactions with those villains a little lacking.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see what you're saying with that. I mean, I've had a bit of playtime with it myself. And I mean, obviously, if you're a big fan of the Joker, you
You're
sound
fine.
as a pound.
Yep.
You're okay.
You're
There's
okay.
plenty of time with him. But with some of the lesser guys, if you're really fixated on them, not so much.
Absolutely. I mean, even as an introduction, you know, you're fighting some thugs, you're fighting some bad guys, you're switching your cape around. The combat's really fluid. It's really nice. And then sudden Killer Croc.
Pops up.
And there's no real reaction there from
Yeah.
Batman. There's no real kind of acknowledgement that this is kind of a big deal.
Well, because I mean, that's a big thing. You know, this is an origin story. So it's not like Batman's come up against a giant mutated Killer Croc before.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Yeah. No.
And there, you're right, there is no kind of, wait a second, this is a bit weird.
Ooh, big and ugly.
Which you kind of you'd expect for the
Yeah.
first time that you come across someone like this.
Absolutely, and that kind of continues throughout the game. There is that sense that he's already familiar with these villains, and that does take a little away from the story.
Yeah, I suppose that. I mean, that's the other thing that I was feeling with this, because it's the first time apparently that he's met all of these
All of
people. That kind of devalues these first meetings a little bit, I thought.
Yeah, and if you are a big fan of any of these guys, you know,
Might feel just slightly shortchanged.
Yeah,
Just a
just
little.
want a little bit more
just a
face
little.
time.
That being said, they look great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. With character design within this, by the looks of things, everyone looks pretty good. Do you think fans of the particular villains like Deathstroke and Deadshot and Lady Shiva, they're going to be happy with the character designs?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the character designs. Batman himself is a little chunky.
But is that Batman, or is that actually what they put him
got
in?
a
Looks like it's
strapped
been
onto
working out a bit, but so I was actually lucky enough to speak to Eric Holmes, the creative director of Arkham Origins, and he spoke about the design of Batman's suit, and yeah, it looks really chunky, and it's kind of awkward for stealthy moments. You know, clambering through vents, you can hear it, and you're like, shh, Batman,
You're going to get stuff caught on bits and pull it free. Not good.
But he actually said that was an intentional thing. It was meant to look like an early design that he'd thrown together, and it was still being refined.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. Now, there are a few changes with Batman, with voice talent.
Yes.
It is not who it used to be.
No, we
It's-
don't have any Kevin Conroy.
We do
There's
not.
no Kevin Conroy.
And there's no Hamill.
And there's no Mark Hamill. The new voice of Batman is actually the voice of Ezio.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, two of the writers on Assassin's Creed actually penned the story for Origins as
Lifted
well.
them wholesale.
So
We'll take the whole lot.
Hello. come and do some
Come join
Batman
Batman.
for us. That being said, I expected to be disappointed, and I wasn't.
Good.
I actually enjoyed it.
I think it's quite a scary thing when a voice actor takes over something that you kind of go, but that's not my character. That's you know. So I think the fact that they've done a really good job, it's kind of heartening.
It's important. It's
It is.
really important.
I expected to be more critical of the new voice talent for the Joker, but
Yes.
he actually did a great
Again,
job.
great job.
Yeah,
Really
really,
good job.
it was a great Joker coming across.
It was.
Some of the lesser characters I wasn't as much sold on. Alfred in particular, I wasn't buying. I wasn't buying Alfred. He just sounded like a poncy British guy. It just didn't work for me.
Alfred was a bit whiny. Alfred was a little bit, you know, what are you doing? You
Not
know,
sardonic enough
Spending
and-
your parents' inheritance, and Batman's all like, shut up, Alfred, I'm grown up, I can do what I want.
Going to my
And
cave.
he's like, you know, have you considered investing, you know, your money more wisely, Bruce?
Stop fighting batarangs.
Stop putting lights on them.
It's completely counterintuitive. But I think one of the other things that we need to look at before we go completely
Off
the
topic,
rails
yeah.
is, I mean, obviously this is set in Gotham, and it's a bigger Gotham than we've seen in the game so far. does it live up to the Gotham that we've wanted to see, reading the comics and seeing all these little places? Does it bring it together the way we wanted to see?
Because Gotham really is a character in the comic books.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Look, the atmosphere in Gotham is fantastic. You know, set during the winter, you've got the snow, the soundtrack is
The sound is
divine.
brilliant. Yeah.
It's beautiful, and I think all these things come together. I'm honestly not a huge fan of the map shape. I actually enjoy the map in Asylum better than in City or Origins. I find it a little less restrictive. Origins to me, it feels like the illusion of an open world shoved in a little box.
I can see what you're saying.
I felt like it could have been a little bigger. That being said, it was really great to be able to go up high, and the panoramic views were beautiful.
Really lovely.
Also, being able to go down into the slums, you really get that picture of Gotham really well.
Yeah, I think that's really important in this kind of game too. Now, as all Kapowians will know, we have our own rating system here. We have a buy, borrow, bury or burn. So Rae, what would you give Arkham Origins?
Look, I've been teetering between a borrow and a buy with this, honestly, simply because of the points that we brought up, the negatives from a comic perspective, per se. But honestly, I'd give this a buy, if only for the statues that come with the collectors and the definitive editions.
Well, you know that we're always a fan of those here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, they've taken pride of place. I've actually bought a new bookshelf.
Excellent. Now, we know you have been in before, just recently, to come into King's Comics and talk to a few other people who are getting their first look at the game, see what they thought about it. So maybe we should have a look at that.
So here we are at King's Comics, but tonight it feels like we're in Gotham with all these Gothamites here. We're going to find out their first impressions on Batman Arkham Origins. Harley, what do you think of Batman Arkham Origins?
I love it. Well, what I've played so far, I'm a huge fan of the other two games, and I've been playing them for years, and I've gone through both on hard mode like 3 times, and I was really worried that with the new company that making the gameplay would be different, but the controls are the same, the dude kind of sounds the same, and the new Joker is incredible. So I'm pretty pumped. I'm very excited.
First thoughts is it's a lot like Arkham City and Asylum, but that's what's so good about it.
Well, initially I was just worried that Warner Brothers wasn't going to be the same as Rocksteady, obviously, but then as soon as I played it, I instantly just got me hooked instantly, and it just felt exactly how Arkham City was, and it was great, and visually it's amazing, and just the mechanics of fighting, it just feels much smoother as well. It feels much more faster, because obviously to do with the story as well, it just felt really good to play.
Pretty much, in my opinion, it's pretty much the same game as the other 2 games, which is still good, which I still enjoy. I just love the combat, pretty much.
It's really good. It's just like Arkham City. Like, it's really good.
What is the thing that stands out to you as the best feature of the game so far?
The plot. Honestly, the plot, because the game is essentially, for me, Arkham Origins is going to be Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, whereas it's kind of disappointing as for a game aspect. But you don't read a Batman comic for how it's set out. You don't watch a Batman movie for how it looks. You watch it because you like Batman and you like the Batman plot and the idea of Batman.
It feels like year 1. Like if you ever watched or read the comics, it's like year 1, and it shows a bit of a darker Batman, but that's how Batman is. He's dark and gritty, and that's how I like my Batmans.
So do you feel like Batman when you're playing it?
I feel like Batman. I could say I am Batman when I'm playing it.
So is there anything that you are slightly disappointed about that?
A little bit that it is still the same gadgets. We sort of previewed EB Games Expo, and the gadgets for me were just I was hoping they would be not more advanced, but because it's a prequel, more simple. You'd have to do a lot more things as a detective, more so than your gadgets being the ones been doing the job for you. Whereas in Arkham City, that's what you had. You had to decrypt, I was hoping in this one you'd actually have to decrypt or do riddles for it or something like that.
Yeah, it felt good.
It feels like Batman.
It feels really good.
I become Batman. I am one with Batman. I am the Batman.
When you're playing, do you feel like Batman?
I put the mask on, yeah.
And with that, dear students of Kapow University, we come to the end of the semester.
Yes, which is another way of saying, of course, that we have reached the end of this season of Kapow, and it's honestly been one of my favourites. Thank you guys so much for sharing it with us.
As we finish for this year, remember we might pop up for the odds special over the next couple of months, and of course our Facebook page is open for questions and comments.
Absolutely. So until we see you again, we bid you all a very fond farewell.
Bye guys.